Good morning, welcome back to another week. I had a mad sleep in this morning because I went to bed at 1 a.m. I was up editing the YouTube last night as well as some other things. But first YouTube is up. Well, it's uploaded, but it's not up. It goes up at 6 o'clock tonight. So hopefully some of you have seen it. This is week 2, so let's get it.
Yeah. Look, I'm back and I'm better than ever. Can't have death creeping around in my life. It's so much that I had to sever. I told my little baby I'm praying, cause these little plots have been getting clever. He said that he caught me red-handed. I hit on my father and he was like, never. Look, since I was legit, the devil been trying. I told him he lying. I'm Jim Jones with the flying. I see me a demon, I'm sliding. I hop on a beat and I'm gliding. They poking the bear and they dying. I'm cutting them dates like the Mayans. You know that he riding. This beat got me feeling like David with most of the time Goliath.
Wait, you good, bro?
I'm all good, I take it hard.
Good morning. I feel like I haven't spoken a whole lot this week. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, I can't really remember. But I haven't really done a whole lot. I've just been at home working for most of the week. This week was always going to be like that though. I did a fair bit of filming last week. So we just edited the last few days, starting to build out the editing team, which is really exciting because that's definitely been like the biggest bottleneck in my business. The last few months is just getting me to sit down and edit and keep that creative spark. Like I'm much more focused on trying to operate at a high level and do the filming than sitting there spending days editing. Other than that, training last night was crazy. Everyone that was at that session was absolutely fucked by the end of it. Pretty much all of us are looking to compete, so we're all starting to put our foot on the gas. There's a competition in 2 weeks. I don't know if I'll do that. I really want to do one before states. I've only had one comp this week, just to get a bit more of the nerves out. But also, if I was to injure my knee again at that competition, which is 5 weeks away from stage, it would take me out of states completely. So on the fence about that one, as much as I feel like I really need to get one more comp under the belt before going to a big one like states. I don't know. But I also just feel fucked today, so we're not training. I definitely lost some of the stamina. Hold that thought. Yeah, definitely went backwards in terms of the fitness, obviously taking 3 weeks off, but taking 3 weeks off, still recovering from an injury, going through 2 courses of antibiotics for the infection that was in my leg, and also I was quite sick after I did that retreat. So I had a cold for about 2 weeks. All in all, feeling pretty run down. Like I feel good, but definitely beat, especially after last night. So we're going to spend the morning doing a bit of recovery. And then I've got a physio at 9 o'clock. So we'll go do a bit of sauna, ice bath, maybe sit in the boots if we've got time, and then back into work. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is why the sudden change back to jiu-jitsu and boxing after basically doing bodybuilding for the last 5 years. And the short answer to that is because it was kind of always the plan. Before COVID, I'd done about 18 months of boxing, had done like an in-gym exhibition type fight. And I'd done about 6 months of jiu-jitsu, only in a gi though, and had competed at a white belt tournament. Won my first fight, lost my second fight, but COVID hit and fight gyms were obviously like the last thing to open up. So I got back in the gym, just lifting weights. I'd already done a few years of weights before that. And the plan was sort of just to put on some muscle mass while those gyms were closed. And then when it came time, go back to that, because it's a lot easier to build muscle, one, when you're younger, but two, when you're not doing an endurance sport. Trying to build muscle and build endurance at the same time is an extremely uphill battle. So it was a nice time to just focus on that. That being said, I obviously just fell back in love with like the sport of bodybuilding, getting bigger, getting stronger, obviously the aesthetic of it. And then eventually those thoughts of like competing started to creep back in, which you would have seen in that Bulking Diaries series. But the long answer to that is the same answer as to why I restructured my business and to why I jumped back into combat sports and without beating around the bush. I went through a breakup about 6 to 8 months ago. And I'm someone that has a very hyper obsessive, hyper focused type mind, and that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. The good side of it is if it's on something productive, I can sit there for hours, days, weeks, months on end, just thinking about and focusing on that thing. And the flip side of that is just as easily I can be hyper focusing on negative things, and that is called a negative feedback loop, which I've had the pleasure of learning about the last however long. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into specifics about the breakup and what did or didn't happen. It's not very productive at all, but I'm also not going to sit here and act tough like it didn't fuck me up, because it absolutely did. I'd be an absolute sociopath for it not to. Like, I moved to the Gold Coast with her and our 2 dogs, and that was all I knew. Like, I'm from Perth, I didn't know anyone from here. We moved, and for the first, I want to say 18 months, I didn't even bother trying to make a friend. Like, I didn't care for it. I was here, I was working, I had my dogs, I had her. Like, that was my life. It's all I needed. Obviously, I made friends eventually just because of people she had met, and both of my closest friends were people that I'd met through her girlfriends. And yeah, in the space of a very short amount of time, I'd lost like my best mate, I'd lost my dad, and I split up with my partner. Now, my dad didn't die, by the way. I've always had a very touch and go relationship with him, and it just, one day it all just kind of reached this breaking point. We haven't spoken since. It was about 18 months ago. And my best mate got engaged and moved up to the Sunshine Coast, and then I split up with my partner. So my life changed very, very quickly from the only thing I knew to then moving into a house with 2 mates, or having 2 mates moving with me, should I say, no dogs. It was a big change, and obviously breakups are hard enough as they are, but being in a space where like my family's not here, like none of my original like day one friends are here, I just kind of ended up in one of those negative feedback loops for a long time, and I didn't really realize how severe it got. And where I'm trying to go with this is, eventually, when you've spent as long as I had in a negative feedback loop, like it's the first thing you think about when you wake up, the last thing you think about before you're going to bed. And the gym is not a very distracting place. Lifting weights is not very distracting, especially when you've got like a 2-minute rest, 3-minute rest in between each set, sitting there with nothing but your thoughts. It's, for me, can be a very, very dark place. And I know from already being in fight gyms, the only place that I could go where my brain actually switches off from everything else is fight gyms. Like, if you struggle to turn your brain off, go to a fight gym, because when you are in a ring, especially when you're doing like a bit more high level stuff, or even just pad work, is so mentally taxing. Like, you have to focus so much into like hit your combinations, get the timing, get technique, that you literally cannot think about anything else. It's very fast paced. You're always on the go. Like, the whole hour you're there, like, you will not be able to think about anything else, especially when you start sparring and you've got someone trying to fucking knock your head off or break your arm or spin your ankle backwards. Like, depending on if you're doing MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, you are literally in survival mode. Even in pad work, like, you're in survival mode because you're throwing punches. Like, your body doesn't know the difference. So that's the only time my brain switched off. So as soon as I did like 1 or 2 jiu-jitsu sessions and kind of had that memory jog of like, oh my god, my brain switches off for this 1 hour or 2 hours that I'm training, like, this is good, I went head first into training like you wouldn't believe. Like, people would have seen on my Instagram story, like, there was a phase from about December to late February, early March, where I was training 14 to 16 times a week. I was doing grappling in the morning, a kickboxing session in the middle of the day, weights, or like another grappling session at night, and then trying to fit recovery in. Like, I was tearing myself apart from the outside in, and I thought it was just the best thing for me. I thought it was great. Obviously, that wasn't very sustainable, and I'd done a few things outside of that. I went on like a men's retreat, which was great for my mental headspace, and I also just learned a lot more about the stuff that was going on in my mind and the things I was struggling with, and I've sort of come back with a different perspective on a lot of it. And that's
essentially why I got back into jiu-jitsu. Now I'm still training jiu-jitsu and boxing, and will continue to train jiu-jitsu and boxing at a high level, just because I do it because I love it. Like, I didn't just do it to escape the noise in my head. Like, I did it because I loved it as well. That was also just a major perk of it. What's funny about all of that, and why I'm even considering sharing all of that, is during that phase of life, people assumed I was absolutely killing it because I was busy all the time. And don't get me wrong, doing what I was doing was a fucking much better option than going out and bendering every weekend, getting up to fucking God knows what trouble. But I was not thriving. I was fucking just surviving, operating on the fuel of like rage and pain. Don't get me wrong, very potent stuff, and you can do some phenomenal things with tiny doses of it here and there. But when you're operating on pain and rage 24/7, you are going to combust eventually. And I'm just fucking thankful I managed to catch myself just before that point happened. But you can't do it 24/7. You can tap into it, and there's moments where you need to tap into it. Like Kobe talks about it heaps, is there was a character he put on when he was on court. He had to switch it off when he was off the court. You can't walk around as that guy 24/7. You'll hurt people around you, you'll push people away from you, you'll live a miserable life, and on top of that, your central nervous system will just literally fry. So yeah, I don't even know if this will make it to the cut, but go. So tomorrow we're going to Surfers Paradise to Gracie Baja. That is going to be very interesting. I'm really keen to just see what it's like going to a different gym, rolling with some different people. I think I did say earlier this week that I'm getting very used to rolling with the people from Level Up. And it's quite hard to gauge if you're just getting used to someone, how they roll and like the techniques and stuff they use, or if you're actually just getting better. So tomorrow will be a good gauge as to see where we're at leading into these comps. I'm probably going to try and do a couple rounds in the gi as well, which I think is going to be absolutely brutal. I've only done like 4 training sessions this year in a gi, so I think I'm going to get absolutely fucked up in that aspect, even if like a 60 kilo guy gets on me. But it'll be interesting, and then we'll get a few rounds in the no gi as well. So tomorrow will be a good day. I'm keen. So we've just registered for state championships, which is in 2 months exactly, 60 days, and nationals, which is in August, down in Melbourne. Now it's game time. I found this song on TikTok like a few months ago, and it's just been ingrained in my head ever since. No idea what they're saying, but it's the theme song for all the training this year. Going to nationals, everything. I got no idea what the fuck they're saying, but it's hard as fuck. Yeah, so I just got absolutely fucked for an hour straight. So I did go there to try and roll with some other high-level white belts that are probably looking to compete. There was none there. I rolled with purple, brown, black, and got fucked in every single round. Like, didn't even come close to a submission at any point. I was just surviving, not thriving at all. But it's still good. Like, they were hard rounds. They were 6-minute rounds, which we don't usually do. We usually do 5-minute rounds. And yeah, I mean, I learned a few things, but it's also good to just realize like how much further you've actually got to go in this journey. So yeah, next week I spoke to Guy. There should be some more no-gi competitors and guys in white belts. So I'm keen to go back next week and see what we can do. Wasn't really the session I thought I was going to get today, but it's still training nonetheless. I mean, just cop it on the chin and keep going.
So last minute, I got booked to go to Melbourne to shoot one of the zone events. So that's where we're heading today. I didn't know until yesterday, so it's very last minute. Threw together a bag this morning. Kate actually booked my flight for next week, so we had to rebook that flight. So now I'm waiting here for a few hours, but all in all, should be a cool weekend. Going to go down and see the IFBB shows, and then we've got a shoot at Reese's private gym tomorrow. So it's going to be an extra few days in this week's episode, but should be cool.